Welcome to the finale of What If Ahsoka Was the Chosen One. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, I recommend you watch those first before watching this video. The links will be in the description below. As Dooku began to initiate his transmission to Sidious, he was not fearful of his master's immediate punishment, rather the long-term consequences. Dooku was not blind. He knew Sidious had been testing the abilities of Skywalker, but even his master had not foreseen the Togruta having such an impact on the Sith grand plan. As the hooded figure of his master projected in front of him, Dooku bowed, before feeling his throat constricted by the force choke of Sidious. Although Dooku knew Sidious needed him alive, it did not mitigate the pain. After what seemed an eternity, the pain subsided, and Dooku craned what remained of his neck to look back at his master. Sidious's face was one of fury, as he pointed at Dooku for underestimating the Jedi. Sidious would now need another plan. This Togruta was becoming far too annoying in his estimation. It was time for a killing move. Back at the Jedi Temple, Anakin had completed a sparring session with Ahsoka. She had taken the knowledge of being the Chosen One as a challenge, striving to become the best Force user possible. Also, the absence of pressure to be the Chosen One has had an effect on Anakin, who doesn't feel as if the Jedi are restricting his potential. Exiting the training room, Anakin receives a message from the Council, and together with Ahsoka, immediately head for the Operations Planning Center. Arriving, he is met by the hologram of Count Dooku, who is using his right boot to tap the back of Palpatine's spine. Whilst the Council are in shock, Anakin and Obi-Wan are absorbing Dooku's surroundings. The pillar and architecture looked all too familiar. Anakin nodded to R2 to get his ship ready, as Dooku's transmission ended. Before Mace Windu could utter any orders, Anakin and Ahsoka zoomed off, with Obi-Wan trailing them both. As they reached the Jedi hangar, they simultaneously somersault into their starfighters, heading for the planet of Naboo. The trio did not need to discuss a plan, for they knew it was a trap. The standard policy was to be followed. If there was a trap, spring the trap. As they approached the Theed hangar, which Anakin and Obi-Wan knew too well, Ahsoka landed with a smooth skid, searching through the Force for Dooku. It did not require a lot of effort. Dooku was making no attempt to hide his presence, as if encouraging them to fight him, which in reality, he was. As they sprinted through the palace, Obi-Wan reached the door to the dining room first, and not to his surprise, it was guarded by several Magna Guards. Casually dismissing the familiar enemies, together with Anakin and Ahsoka, booted the heavy door open. The dark room was only illuminated by a sliver of light through the narrow windows, and now their lightsabers. As they step forward several paces, they hear the sound of several lightsabers igniting. As the lighting improves, they see the lightsaber wielders of Count Dooku and Asajj Ventress, guarding Palpatine, who is sitting in the corner with binders attached to his wrists. Dooku had not expected the presence of Obi-Wan, so a change of plan was needed. Dooku beckoned Ventress to attack Obi-Wan, and getting his inferred message, moved him away from Dooku. Dooku attacked Ahsoka first, wanting to gauge her abilities for himself and his master. Dooku was surprised to see his attacks being parried with vigour, as Ahsoka used her raw potential on Form 5 Gem So to keep pace with the Master Swordsman, occasionally adopting her reverse grip to not be too predictable. As Dooku stepped back, Anakin knew what was coming, and stepped in front of Ahsoka to block Dooku's Force lightning. He wouldn't let Ahsoka have all of the fun. As Dooku saw the more imposing figure of Anakin, he saw that he had improved further since their last encounter on Tatooine. He could not toy with the Jedi anymore. Deflecting Anakin's strikes with immense efficiency, he threw several chairs in a rushing Ahsoka's direction, which was sliced with ease. Out of the corner of his eye, Dooku sees Obi-Wan disarming Ventress, and pointing his blue lightsaber at her throat. As a result, Dooku uses more chairs to separate himself, and manages to catch Ahsoka on the wrist with a jolt of Force lightning, disarming her. As Ahsoka rolls across the floor, in search of her lightsaber, and to dodge more incoming chairs, she force pulls Ventress's lightsabers towards her and ignites them. Although they were not hers, something just felt right about having one lightsaber in each hand. She and Anakin had practiced Jar Kai on several occasions, and she had found a natural affinity towards it. Enhancing agility with the Force, Ahsoka makes a huge leap over the top of the main dining table, nearly touching the ceiling, and makes a cut in an unexpected Dooku's shoulder. As Dooku winces, Anakin uses this moment to disarm Dooku and severs his legs. Moving him in the custody of Obi-Wan, they move to the stricken Chancellor. Using his lightsabers to cut his binders, Palpatine stumbles to his feet, masking the fact that he had been impressed by what he had seen. But as they aim to make a move out with the captives, the wheezing voice of Dooku could be heard calling for Obi-Wan. Dooku sighed, knowing whatever he did, he was a dead man. Steadying himself, he told Obi-Wan that he had said all he had needed to know on Geonosis, but this was not a case of doing what was right for him, but for Qui-Gon. Palpatine sensed a change in mood from Obi-Wan, and readied himself as he glared at his traitor of an apprentice. Obi-Wan lowered his blade as he contemplated Dooku's words. This was no longer a man who needed power, but a man who had lost it all. As Obi-Wan stepped away from Dooku, who slumped to the ground in exhaustion, Sidious let out a massive wave of force lightning to all the occupants in the room apart from Anakin, as he ignited his blades. But at the sight of Ahsoka and Obi-Wan flying across the room, whatever bridge the Chancellor worked so hard to build evaporated in one moment. Sidious sensed this too, and attacked Anakin with an unrivaled ferocity. Dooku and Ventress observed the fight, as they were relieved that they had never been on the receiving end of such an onslaught. As Anakin struggled, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka got back to their feet. Obi-Wan had never seen such power in his life, except perhaps for Grandmaster Yoda. As he got up, he was more astonished to see Ahsoka walk past him, as if nothing had happened, and went to help her master. Maybe it was Ahsoka's destiny to destroy the Sith after all. Obi-Wan watched, as oddly, Ahsoka let go of Ventress's lightsabers, hovering them in the air, and sat on top of the table. As she force-pulled her own blade from the floor, the three blades began to attack Sidious in unison. As Anakin began to tire, he detected a warning from the Force, and he ducked just in time to see three lightsabers shave past him. Sidious blocked them, expecting it to be only a Force throw, but to his surprise, they continued to attack him, as Ahsoka guided the lightsabers to act in perfect harmony. As Sidious retreated, he was pinned to the wall by two of the lightsabers, before the third pierced his midsection. As the lightsaber seamlessly moved back into the hands of Ahsoka, the four surviving Force users looked at her in amazement. Never had they seen such control of the Force. Anakin in particular was in shock. He had never taught Ahsoka the ability to fight telekinetically with her lightsabers, nor had heard of such power. Ahsoka asked Anakin to contact the Jedi Council, which he duly obliges to. As the Jedi Masters arrived to take care of the prisoners, Anakin was glad that he was not the chosen one, but looking at Ahsoka, he was pleased to have trained the one who was. That is it for this mini-series of What If Ahsoka Was the Chosen One. Please like this video and subscribe for more what ifs, and as always, leave a comment on what if you'd like to see next. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.